everyone. In the absence of our chair, I will get started on time and call the meeting to order. And read our ethics statement. I will refer to chairperson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 2017 Bush Charter School Board of Directors meeting. As is our requirement, I will begin the meeting with our ethics statement for state government, nonprofits, and municipalities regarding a statement of our conflict of interest per North Carolina Statute 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this board. I will ask, beginning with Ms. Denning, does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters that are scheduled to appear before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. Ms. Denning. No. Mr. Lloyd?
No.
Mr. Johnson, please, sir. You're the one we're worried about there, Kate. No. And I have no conflicts or perceived conflicts of interest at this time. Celebrations and recognitions. We'll get right into the meeting.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to celebrate not only our staff but our students. This month we'd like to recognize one of our first grade teachers, Samantha Dunn. She was selected to participate in a Master of Literacy Trainer cohort through NCTPI's K-3 literacy program. As a part of this opportunity, she was coached on how to help with training and informing teachers in best practices for literacy instruction, understanding Read to Achieve, and supporting the reading training assessment system. She was able to attend the 3-day conference with all expenses paid based on her selection. So we congratulate her, and she's been very, very excited and already bringing back some assessment tools for us to start working with all of our K-3 as well as feedback programs. In addition, I'd like to take a moment and recognize our own Beth Miller. She was recognized on April 3rd at a luncheon sponsored by the Golden Corral and the Smithfield Selma Chamber of Commerce as a Superstar Teacher of the Year for News Charter. And then I'd also like to recognize Karen Hannah Finn. She has completed her second master's. This one is in mathematics for K-6, and she already previously completed her MBA, so we're very excited about that, and I know she's very excited to say it's done. In my general remarks, I'll provide a little bit more of an update about yesterday's events, but I do want to take a moment now and celebrate all of our students and our staff for the grace and tremendous professionalism that everyone showed during our event yesterday. We never want an incident like that to occur on any campus. Our protocols were in place and were followed, and all of our children were safely able to return to the building. That's all we can ask for. I'd like to now take just a moment to recognize some of our special Olympians. They are not present with us today, but we had 8 participants this year and 140 fans that were carried over by News Charter 6th and 2nd grade. We were by far the largest contingency. Ian and Ethan Overby were both able to win ribbons in the preparatory games. William McGinnis participated in 2 events and earned a bronze medal in the tennis ball throw and a ribbon in the 50-meter run. Aiden Braswell won a bronze in the softball throw and a gold in the standing long jump. Hunter Guider won a silver in the 50-meter run and a gold in the tennis ball throw. Brady Bourne won a ribbon in the softball throw and silver in the 50-meter walk. Owen Eady earned a ribbon in the softball throw and a bronze medal in the standing long jump. Micah Artis won a bronze medal in the running long jump and a gold medal in the 100-meter run. 2 medals. We had 2 of those. And then Atlee Maples won a bronze medal in the softball throw and a silver medal in the 100-meter run. So rounding out with 3 double medaling contestants, but everyone who was in a medal-eligible event earned at least one. And so we're very, very proud of our team as well as all of our students. In fact, our school received a number of compliments for our support of the program and our ability to participate in such large amounts. And now I'd like to go into our core value recognitions. We'll actually be recognizing 2 core values, as this will recognize the April and May core values for us. The school will be out next time. Our new schedule. So our core value of perseverance. The core value of perseverance is about not giving up on something that might be very difficult. You must be willing to work hard and show a commitment to not quitting the task. And while several members were recognized in their classrooms tonight, for you representing the kindergarten through 2nd grade is Shraddha Patel. She's not able to be with us today, but no matter how bad Shraddha felt, she always pulls through and always gets the job done. So join me in recognizing Shraddha Patel. She was nominated by Ms. Dunn. Jaden Lassiter. Jaden always keeps trying to do his best. He's a hard worker and asks about making up work and is an excellent role model for his classmates. Yeah, if you want to sneak forward. Jaden is representing grades 3 through 5 and was recommended and nominated by Mr. Kaiser. It was a lot for Elena Yates, were you able to join that? No, she's snuck in. Elena Yates was recommended or nominated by Mr. Ward for recognizing the 6th through 8th grade, and is noted that she always strives to overcome all obstacles no matter the difficulty. And so we celebrate Alana today as well. Serena Daughtry was recognized for grades 9 through 12. She was nominated by Ms. Westergaard. Serena has a lot of obligations outside of school and does an amazing job of coordinating all of her responsibilities, always making sure that her schoolwork is completed on time, often ahead of time. So recognizing Serena for representing our grades. And these represent our Perseverance Award winners. Next, we'd like to recognize the value of honesty. Honesty, very simply, is about telling the truth and having integrity. Katie Gertley was nominated by Ms. Hannah Finn, representing grades kindergarten through 2nd grade, and is always honest no matter what the situation is. Please join us in recognizing. Emily, did you sneak in? Yes. Emily Buffy is representing grades 3 through 5 and was nominated by Mr. Kaiser. She is very trustworthy and always tells the truth. Miss Serenity Bean. Serenity was nominated by Ms. Harris and is representing grades 6 through 8. She is a joy to teach. She is honest in her work and with her friends. Malcolm, did you sneak in a back door? Malcolm? Representing 9th through 12th grade is Malcolm King, who was recommended by Ms. Anton Giovanni, and I am sad that his family's not here to hear this. He has been given the Honesty Award for, obviously, his honesty, but also for his integrity. Malcolm acts according to his beliefs consistently, and one can also trust in him for an honest answer. It has been a great privilege to know and teach Malcolm. He is the epitome of what we as high school teachers want our seniors to be. He has and will continue to make News Charter School proud. Please join me in recognizing all of our honesty. And as that sort of concludes our core value program for the year, we're just very excited about the energy that is created not only in classrooms but throughout the entire campus, and recognizing all of the core values that we hold here as News Charter members. So again, thank you to all of our students. Thank you to our guidance department for making this a reality. Coordinating this effort is no small feat, and they get it together every month just in time, and all of our students are able to be truly recognized. So I would like to thank Ms. McGinnis and Ms. Bell for their efforts. And that concludes my
again, congratulations to all of the recipients for well-deserved honors. Next item we have on tonight's agenda is our public comment section. A reminder that the public comment is a time for the public to comment about any items or issues or concerns. Time limit is 3 minutes. We did not have any members to sign up for this evening, so we'll move forward to the next item on the agenda. The approval of the minutes from the March 28th board meeting should be attached in your packet. I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. A second. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Next we have is our PTO report.
I met with Ms. Lee earlier this week, and we went through the budget information that they have, and they're at a point where they're actually looking to contribute a Chromebook or card to the school. Some of the reserve funds that they have this year, and just anxiously determining how to revamp their efforts going into next year to have a greater focus on volunteerism and continuing to support us in that life.
Thank you. Booster Club report. I don't see Mr. Lynch as a representative for the Booster Club. Student Government Association report, Ms. Miller.
Students of Niche Charter are now preparing for upcoming AP exams, final report cards to come out, as well as going to college and things like that, as well as preparing to become seniors and everything that follows that. Sports are going pretty well, I would say. And we have, I think, I might be wrong, but there's 2 student trips, one to Peru coming up and one throughout parts of Europe, which I think a few people are signed up for both, which is very exciting. I wish I had that opportunity. Prom went very well. I think it was the highest attendance of Niche Charter history. And so we've started looking into next year's prom. We're thinking about doing an off-campus location, either at the farm in Selma or the Ag Center. So any other ideas would be greatly appreciated, as costs are still something to look at. This is my last meeting that I'm eligible to attend, so I'd just like to thank all of you for the opportunity to sit up here and experience what makes this school as great as it is. So thank you for that.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you, Caitlin, and congratulations. Next item, Director's Report, Ms. Williams.
As I mentioned earlier, I'd give you a little bit more of an update on what happened yesterday. By now, I believe everyone is aware that we did have a bomb threat on campus. We immediately notified our on-campus resource officer, who then in turn contacted local law enforcement and emergency services personnel. I think we have a As soon as the information was received, we took immediate action to evacuate the building. All students followed the evacuation plan outside. As we all knew what happened yesterday, it was raining. However, the safety of the students was paramount, and so keeping them outside of the buildings was critical. The moment that we were able to get an all-clear sign for the gymnasium, we started moving students into the gymnasium. At that time, we were also hosting parents who were coming in voluntarily, picking their students up from school, and we were able to establish the orderly exit procedures using our remind notification system. All said and done, no device was found, and everyone was able to return safely to class, and it is now transitioning to a criminal investigation. So at this point, we get our full cooperation to Thompson Police Department as they further that investigation. We are obviously aware that anytime there's an actual event versus a drill, we're able to do some real-time analysis, and so we've already begun debriefing the situation and look forward to continuing to gather input from parents, community members, as well as staff as to how we can make sure we review our protocols and make sure we can truly do the best that we possibly could. In addition, we were very fortunate that 2 of the law enforcement officers on campus were part of the rapid response team and immediately said, we're happy to continue to work with you as you review your policies and make sure that we have the best plans in place. that are specific to our campus. One thing that I think everyone will realize is when you develop a crisis plan, it has to be personalized to your facility. And so we need to continue to look at what is best for our students, our facility, our location, and how we can move our students around safely. I would take any questions at this time regarding the amended card, knowing that there's not much more I can say than that.
Can I just say that, oh, sorry. I've actually signed up probably, just public comments, but the police department reported that they arrived on the scene at 10:31. Your first inkling was at 10:05, and the police reported that everyone was out of every building when they arrived on scene. So that means that you guys heard it and then got everybody out of here in 20 minutes or so?
In 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay.
And we.
I mean, that's what, just from the time they got here, that would be a maximum of like 20 minutes. And then kudos to the flow of real-time information from the text to Brad on Facebook. Unbelievable. Most of us would have learned most about it on the 6 o'clock news 10 years ago. And there are 200 comments in less than an hour or whatever. People were following it in real time. My kid was wet. I don't care if he marked him absent when I picked him up. He was alive for me to pick him up. It was really a moving experience to be able to relax and know that you people were the ones who were taking care of my kid at that time.
I'd just like to echo that, in short, just from our role as a board, it was nice to hear from the staff instead of the parents first. So I appreciate that. For being ahead of it like you were, communicating in advance as much as you did. So thank you for that.
With regards to the messaging that went out to parents via text message, was it just by text message or was it email? Or just letters?
We use the Remind system for that, which is what we ask parents to sign up for emergency notifications, and that system is only used for closures and emergency systems. For the real-time information, I believe we had some information that was going to Facebook, but because our priority was the students' communication effort, we were
Parents sign
limited.
up for that.
Brad, can you address that?
There are links on the school's website.
So there are links on our school's website where they can get, I also know there's a handout in the front office that if a parent asks, we can give them, that gives them all of the things they can sign up for and the instructions on how to use it.
It's good.
Right. The Remind system is through phones, and it's an app that you may or may not realize you're using. If you sign up for it on the computer, it'll just send text to your phone, but if you have the app installed, you'll actually get double hit. You'll get an app notice as well as a text message. And we do advertise that during the beginning and open house of school, beginning of school and open house over and over, but this has let us know to our family members. We've actually had a lot of requests to join.
That was why I was asking the question. I had a couple of text messages yesterday. Someone put a text to me, the school never sent me anything, and I said, well, they sent out a text message, we have to sign up for it.
What we run into is we cannot automatically enroll people in certain services because that would violate the use of that. They have to voluntarily elect to be in it, and so we do have to continue just to get that message out that we need people to actively sign up.
And I was just thinking this may be a good opportunity just to kind of reminder out based on the Facebook and people taking the update.
I believe we've done it, but we can do it again now that the dust has settled. Yes.
One thing to think about in the future, maybe a quarterly type thing. I know that the radio stations do this is an emergency broadcast, and then an actual emergency, just to make sure, and then kind of get something out to, this is just a test. Please make sure that you're receiving this and check social media. And so,
The ones that are receiving weren't getting it.
well, but the thing is, if they put it out on social media, I can tell you there was enough comments about, I didn't get anything, I didn't get anything. It does.
I just got a quick question. I had no way of knowing. I mean, I assume 26 minutes is a proper response time from the police department. I don't know. Do they feel good about that response time, or is it?
We haven't asked them that question, but do you know we were in contact with them the whole time, so their emotional presence was here. And Officer Jeopardy, of course, was with us, and so he was on the phone with their team, and they were giving us instructions on things we could do in the interim, and so they were with us, although they weren't physically present, and so when they finally arrived, then we were able to rapidly clear.
So they have a special bomb squad team they had to mobilize?
It's called a rapid response team. And
Okay.
that's
So I didn't know if they had to get officers from somewhere else to bring them in, or,
One of them was here earlier than that was here.
Right.
Rapid response, earlier here, and they have to be here, so that worked really very well for us.
Okay.
So,
And fire and rescue force came, and then EMS was on standby.
when did fire get here? Did fire get here before 26 minutes? Did the fire department get here before the 26-minute mark?
I'll be honest, I haven't done that properly. I was clearing rings.
I mean, they throw those sirens on any time they can. I'm downtown as well. Anyway, I just didn't know if that was a,
Say it was 26, the 10:05,
Yeah.
the first notification, it may have been a few more minutes until the following, we don't have to get on.
I just didn't know if that was an average response time, if that was ahead of time. I mean,
The key thing, we had 2 officers here.
Right.
And, the point is that I think once we found out, it immediately becomes, I hate to say a crime scene, but it becomes something bigger than the school.
Right.
I mean,
And I echo what Jimmy and Tony, everyone has said, that the staff did a great job. One of my employees has two kids here, and she was so positive about, even though her kids were wet, they were alive. So she was very grateful.
I just think the rain situation probably caused more of a headache than anything. Had it been a sunny day and everybody standing outside, it would have been a play period, but I think just the aggravation of rain, concern of that kind of attitude.
and maybe one of our teachers that gave their umbrella, their cousins, so they stood there, children were covered, but the teachers were not, and I appreciate that from my son. So,
What I thought was impressive too, was that Will yesterday, and he told me, he said, rain was so bad, there were only a few kids left at school. All of that, because it was. Because I had to sit out. So, yeah, really had no idea.
Thank you all for the positive feedback, and we'll continue to engage you as we review and modify the event, or review the event and modify our plans moving forward. On a more positive note, as Caitlin mentioned, we're getting toward the end of the school year, so graduation is fast approaching. If you have not marked it on your books, which I believe you have, it's May 19th. We have several events that are leading up to that, and our senior students and parents will be very, very busy over the next several weeks, not only finishing out their academics and their coursework, but getting ready for that major commencement activity. As we look at next year, our enrollment we're projecting for no more than 944, and we're currently inviting 956 students. We've had a handful that 944 would be our maximum enrollment for next year. We've invited 956 at this point, and we're waiting for almost final acceptances. We have about, I want to say 7 or 8 packets at the front office that are yet to be picked up, and so that's an indication for us of how many are going to say yes to those seats. We still have wait lists on many of our grade levels, so if for some reason someone turned one of those seats down, we have enough to go to. We have no remaining wait list for grades 10, 11, and 12, which means that if a student wants to apply and have a seat open, we'll be able to without having to order more wait lists. So if 1, 10, 11, or 12 is looking for our academic program, we can accommodate those at this time, for now.
Question regarding that, if you may know, and Sharon, I know you participated in this, but what is their waiting list? What grades or have the longest waiting list? Is it still the elementary grades?
It's kindergarten and 9th, or GC's wait list, I think 7th, 8th also has.
9th grades have been waiting list?
that's usually
I know we usually sit around 6th, 7th as well.
6th, 7th, and 8th continue to maintain wait list. One of our wait lists, I believe it's 7th grade, is in the line.
Okay. To get all the 7th to.
What's the legacy class?
They're 9th grade.
Do you know how many we have on our waiting list total? Approximately.
Because it's in motion right now, I don't have a solid number for you. Because this is a week process, so I'm not sure what that is.
I'd just be curious to see how it compares
But I can
to
send that
other
to you.
years as we've grown, just to see if demand is still up there.
We have seen a trend that people are recognizing that kindergarten is the strong entry point, and 9th grade is another decent entry point. So we're starting to see fewer applications and sort of really busy than we had in the past because it is much more, it's more of that as behavior than it is my shot at being at that grade level is going to be much more used now that there's a solid pattern for staying in
Any, based on the lottery attendance, could you tell anything based on the diversity? Seen an increase in the diversity of our applicants? I know we've seen that a couple of years ago when we were over
reflects the diversity of the community that we're in.
when we were over the gym a couple of years ago, we started to see dramatic increases. And just on a personal note, it's the first year I haven't been in the lottery in several years, but the high school is probably the most emotional one for parents when they do or do not get in.
We actually had a student that literally left for joy when this came out. Literally. It was awesome. There have been some questions about the impacts of class size for our school and conversations around things like House Bill 13 and those other issues. Those directly impact districts and district schools. Those conversations do not impact us, so we are able to continue to maintain our current system. Our class size, we try to max out 24 in most grade levels, 18 in kindergarten, and we're able to maintain our arts program as well in our for our elementary students, so that does not impact us.
Going back to graduation, make sure that we invite our county commissioners as well as our House and Senate members to the event.
I believe they're already on our dignitary list.
Okay, all right, I want to make sure, because I know that it's speaking with one of the House members, she indicated wanting more information about the charter school or charter schools, so I think we give that opportunity.
We'll double check. I now present for you, I believe it's an information item, but if we feel like it needs to be a request for approval, we can move it to new business. We have been approached by the U.S. Army to have a stronger sort of partnership with them as they seek advanced candidates for careers in engineering and robotics and those fields within the Army. And they have offered to have the Golden Knights, which is a premier parenting program, to jump out of a plane and land on our campus. We would be the only school in Johnson County to have that privilege and honor. And that would kick off our new partnership with the Army as they bring in something called Project X, which seeks to identify high-level problem-solving and creative thinking skills in the STEM fields and introduce our graduating seniors to those activities so that they can not only learn about those things but practice them real time and help them to develop those skills and those leadership skills that will be successful in those high-level careers. In addition, that would be partnered with increasing some other opportunities for our lower grade students. They would bring out something called assets, which are, imagine them to be sort of mobile educational units. And with those assets, they're going to bring in a robotics asset to the campus and allow not only our seniors who are participating in the senior seminar course to which this curriculum aligns to a curriculum, but invite all of our robotics teams members as well. And so, it's an 18-wheeler. So I know it's big, I just didn't know how big.
It's like a little classroom that turning things and then they bring all their robots.
Right. Well, I have to sign an agreement saying that it's okay for them, but there's no cost to us. They do have to be engaged in people in the communities and invite them to this particular event. Just giving them access to our students for recruitment purposes, which we are already doing through all of our college programs and everything else.
You have to list them. When will it be? I mean,
Right. So we have September 14th.
like to really make sure that we
For the parachuting, which would sort of, we would have an assembly just before it, and then around the 9 or 10 o'clock hour is when they would jump, and then we follow that up. We have a whole day planned already. Shannon Mann has been a parent volunteer this morning as I heard along with our senior seminar curriculum. Assets would be between October and December would be then when they would follow up with the Project X and the assets so that it would sort of string out over a couple of months. Don't think they have finalized all of the schedule on that. We wanted to see confirmation that we're okay for it, yes.
out there, let them jump on
And one thing that we were very I'm letting you know that I've decided that agreement is safe, and we'll get you more information about all the details. So we can invite as many members as possible to participate.
So are you inviting other schools?
Yes, we would like to work with Triple S and their ROTC programs to see if they can help us with presenting colors and that sort of thing, as well as looking to see how we might be able to accommodate visitors on campus, in addition to partnering with the local DFW and working with all of us. We have an Air Force commander who would come and help to talk about the importance of the military career. So like we would invite U.S. representatives to come as well to help commemorate the day. We would sort of package that first day as a military appreciation day and then build it into the curriculum elements of the program.
I mean, you would go beyond.
Good. I mean, we just have to make sure that we ensure the safety of the numbers with where it is that are positioned on campus, as long as we can accommodate the parking and all that. It's looking like the back lot, sort of practice field that's in the back. They just need 100 there. I just heard about 100. They've been to campus and investigated, but they would not say yes to that.
Can I add that up until this year, we had no partnership with the Army. So over the summer, we made contact with them. They came to the school, they've been here several times. So everything from no contact with the Army up until this has happened this year. And with just little experience that they've come talking with us and our students over a year. So that really says something about East Charter School as a whole and what they've seen of us just in a year.
I would just like to say that I've never known a federal agency or program respond so quickly. Good job.
Just wanted to give an update. In new business, we'll bring an item for you regarding the salary schedule for next year, but to sort of jump ahead of that, our contract renewal timeline is fast approaching. We're looking to begin that process as early as this Friday, and as early as next Friday, as long as all approvals go through, so that we need to start that process. That way all staff members will know their project positions by that time. And then I'd like to just take some time talking about our academic design. We talked several months ago about the academic performance report, so I'll sort of direct your attention to the blue and green. We have a copy in the audience, I believe it's probably black and white. But just looking through a basic plan of attack, and one is to start by building the organizational structure necessary to accommodate the academic structure we discussed. So in order to get to the point where we can have that K4 primary academy, that 5A intermediate academy, and that 912 senior academy. So I'll bring an item to you regarding that. And that's what we're really looking to do as our first step, is to get all of the players in place so that once we start moving forward with our program, we will have a leadership that we can take across the whole line. Once the summer hits and we start not beginning, but we continue the development and beginning the implementation of the community engagement plan, we know that all of this will hinge upon the fact that we continue to maintain open, honest communication with our stakeholders. It's not just for crisis situations, it's for our academic programs as well. And so we're already have an interest survey out to parents to get their feedback on topics that they'd like to discuss for relative to academics and social issues, etc. And we'll be building a roundtable series that will take effect officially sometime in the August timeframe around the open house period, but we'll probably do some pilot episodes of it throughout the summer to smooth out the wrinkles and make sure that we have a good structure in place to gather feedback, have open discussion, and be able to use that information as actionable tasks for staff and for the community. In the summer of 2017, we'll also be developing and submitting our professional development and resource plans to have a good gauge of what we'd like to do, but we need to get some bids out there to see the various costs of trying to accomplish what we'd like to accomplish. And we need to make sure our leadership is in place to support those plans once they're developed. In fall, we would then begin the implementation of that professional and resource development plan, meaning it's time to start working with the teachers. We'd like to work with them over the summer by just engaging them in some of the items that we'll be discussing, with the full-fledged and committed support throughout the fall and spring of dedicated time to work together to build those programs into making modifications or adjustments that are needed so that by fall of 2018, we're ready to implement with fidelity. As in talking with the academic committee as well as staff, we can go fast or we can go thorough, and we're trying to hit sort of the middle and fast and thorough at the same time. We don't want to try to rush into something where we have a summer plan, try to turn everything on in the fall, and not have all the tools and resources that we need in place to be able to really do it with fidelity. And so we'd like to take this coming year as that full development year to get to where we need to go, so we have that competency-based instruction in place, we can have that alignment of the curriculum across the K-12 spectrum. We're there, but not there. You know, we've had some initial conversations, but we're not working as a smooth team the way that we need to be, so that our students need to be met right where they are. In addition, we would then build a monitoring and evaluation plan that would match along with that, such that we would immediately have our tracking system in place so that we could give no less than quarterly reports on the success of the plan and make any adjustments that we need to live and on the fly so that we continue to do what's best for students and do what's best for their learning outcomes. Are there any questions about the plan in this slide? And that concludes my report.
Next item, consent agenda, having none. We'll move to our standing committee reports. Finance Committee. Ronnie.
So, in the packet, there are a couple of things. One is the updated budget report. We had actually updated it in April. We actually have a budget tracker system where every month any changes to expenses or revenues. If you jump to the final page on the bottom number for net surplus deficit, you see a pretty big number there. $546,960.88. That is our current projected net surplus for the end of the year. For those of you that remember, we started the year out somewhere in that, I think it was around $50,000. But so some people ask the question like, well, how in the world do you get from $50,000 to $500,000? That's a lot of money. So what we didn't have from previous years is accurate forecasting of revenue and expenses on an annualized basis. So our forecasting wasn't as good as it should have been. But we did have some things that went our way in a good way. So a couple of those, if you look on, actually I don't think I've printed the sheet out. There's one in there that shows basically it's the budget tracker where you show all the changes throughout the year. We can send that out if you want to see it. But the big items that I just want to bring to your attention were, we cushioned the budget going into the year on purpose, Dave, because we knew that to get out of the financial probation scenario, just to remind everybody, it was only because we missed the budget by $13,000 last year. But the way that they did the governmental accounting, we had to show a surplus of roughly $145,000. So we baked that into the budget at the beginning of the year under the line of credit line item. We knew we didn't draw down on that money, but we were conservative in it. So when it's all said and done, we basically had right at $200,000 line of credit we never used in the budget. So that's roughly $200,000 of the $500,000 that we knew was in there, but we want to be conservative. The next biggest line item, as we reconcile everything later in the year for April, is we were about $110,000 off in our Johnson County local revenue. What happened there was we just hadn't updated our forecast based on the new Johnson County projections of $1 million. So that was another $100,000. And then we did a fundraising item. It shows $55,000 as a change, but then you got to back out expenses. We netted about $41,000 in the fundraiser, which was really good. And then there were some other, smaller revenue line items that are in here, $4,000 here, $4,000 there. And that's just what we do throughout the years. Every month we're trying to get line of sight to the actual versus the projections. The school has done an amazing job in expense control. Really making sure that what we really need to spend, we spend, not jeopardizing what's in the classroom of the students. So they've done a really good job there. Some of the rental renegotiation rates that they did with Bandor, they've helped us out. Some of our contract renegotiations for auxiliary services associated with our groundskeeping, our grass mowing, our janitorial services. There was favorability in some of those expense contracts that got renegotiated. So the bottom line is we're You know, we're set to end the year in a really good financial position. It should clearly be, a situation where we get off all financial probation, which was what we went into the year set to achieve. That all won't come through until probably not August, September time, because of the time when they have to do the audit and it has to be reported to the LDC and all this stuff. But we'll handle all that with DEI. And then in the new business section, we will be proposing, which the finance committee has vetted, around the bonus discussion, around the salary and compensation, as well as additional resources.
Just a few comments. I don't know if general public, but I'll speak on behalf of the board. The work Rodney and Dave have done on this the last 15 months, extremely commendable, appreciative, and I know you've gotten in the weeds of it. The school is better off because of your work, so thank you. As far as the budget itself, just a few little nickel and dime questions on the remaining balance for the remaining year. These that have 100% remaining. Athletics stood out. Media center donations. There's one for, well, that's interesting. I mean, is there any reason they're still at 100% remaining? Are they just end of year outlays or?
For athletics, that item.
They're not big ticket items, but it's just it's a few $1,000s.
For athletics, no funding was actually distributed or was brought into the school from the athletics department. They grabbed or loaned it all through booster clubs and when it came to the school. It's a live match, so if they don't bring it in and they don't spend it, it doesn't impact the budget bottom line. Because it's in there at 3,500 as a revenue item, as an expense item, and we have to brought it in before spending. However, we will be adjusting that based on the reverse raffle to give them
You'll get your
10,000. They earn 10,000 from the event, and so they'll be able to invoice us directly versus sending it to booster and have to wait for the invoices to come back for a certain number of items to support the athletics. And that, when I say they, I mean the athletic department, so it'll come from our athletic director and be authorized by us.
Would that be the same thing for media center donations?
Media center, I believe that was a donation that usually came in from the PTO, and in lieu of doing that donation, you're most likely going to donate a Chromebook card to us, which will be that's actually more than that.
And honestly,
Because the media center was driven by this year, the media donation.
yeah, and that's one of the things that we do really clean up some is how money was flowing back and forth between these organizations and the school is the budgetary out there. It's much cleaner when it all flows through the school. It's all accounted for. There's accounting and arms in the media. It's not budgets that depend on outside organizations.
Just to have that arm's length.
It's just hard to track it. Frankly, it's hard to depend on. You just don't know. So there's a few of those items that we look at.
So with regards to the line of credit, is the intent to keep some, pay all of it back, pay some?
So it would all pay back. Okay, it would pay back in December, pay it off. We are, the cost of that, I mean, basically extending for 1 more year is $1. So we'll extend it for 1 more year, just to be conservative, but we don't anticipate anything.
Okay, very good.
And Tony, I'd just like to add, the staff has got a phenomenal understanding of the budget and how the cash flows through. So Susan, your team, Amanda, you sit in on the finance committee meetings, and Keisha, and everybody really, but you really have done a phenomenal job in lockstep with what the finance committee has proposed and what we've done to work together to shorten the budget. So you're to be commended, and keep up the good work.
It's come a long way in a year, a long way.
Well, I mean, just to put it in perspective, just so everybody understands, I mean, if you look at the total revenue in the budget, it's a little over, I think when I did the forecast last year, I went back like 4 to 5 years, we were at about $3.5 million.
3.6, yeah.
Almost no business growth, 60% per year, unless you're software technology. So we're at over $7 million in gross revenue. And if you look at the $500,000, I was just doing the math, that's about 6.7% of the total revenue that we created in surplus. If you remember when I said before last year we did the first analysis, we were running at like 76% of our gross revenue to salaries of teachers and compensation. It's just too high. We can't run an institution
now. So it's been a good teamwork effort, and I would say it's just starting to look at the numbers that you can project every year. Our EVM's going to get pretty close to steady for the next few years, most likely. So our projections should be a little bit more easier to understand. And then what we got to do is we got to, for future meetings, I think we should talk about this at our retreat, is what we want to set as the fiscal policy from a budget reserve perspective that we want to hold on the books from a forward perspective. And that's something we're prepared to finance and we should have a discussion.
And our total budget is around 7 million.
7.1.
7.6.
Basically say 7.
Typical governments run at about 15%. That's their shots after they That's a lofty goal. We need to get half. But
Well, and another thing that stands out, we're still attracting students from 6 and 7 counties. I mean, here we got 6 counties represented. Says a lot about the school. And Dave's right, the staff, we know the staff, they tightened their belt and sacrificed this year as well. So kudos all around. Y'all deserve a recognition certificate.
So now I saved the money, now the question is where we invest it.
that's right.
They got to growth fund. Anything else? I'm not an officer. Anything else, Rodney or Dave from finance? Excellent report, thank you. You want to talk about it? Later.
And the fiscal policy addendum, we're going to move to the meeting.
Budget fiscal policy, you said you want to move.
For the 2017-18 budget preparation update, we're looking at the current budget. I meet with the team actually tomorrow morning to start the process of making projections of revenue and so forth, so that by the time I meet with finance meeting next week, we have a rough draft to start coming to analyze the entire part.
The bonus option. New business, okay. Personnel, well, you mentioned contract renewal. If you have anything for open session you want to add to that? Okay. Audit, the academic subcommittee.
We met and Susan presented basically
Ms. Pulliam presented the academic redesign execution plan. There will be further requests under each item for the board to consider coming up in the coming months. But this was the first go around at the deployment of the redesign for our consideration. Doesn't need approval or anything. We were just trying to get a better handle on how we were going to move forward with implementing the redesign.
Questions for academic subcommittee? Next is board development. Our application nomination process update. I'll give you an update on that. We received very good response to our request for nominations and applications for new board members. We have solicited and confirmed the intent to serve from all but one of the board members, who I will turn over to later. The applications and nominations that we received, I think, represented the school enrollment and the parents, as well as the interest of the school, and it was exciting from a board member who's been on here a few years, and I think I echo what Paul and Dave would share as well. It was really exciting to see how it's evolved from just the Smithfield-Selma area to the entire county and our region that we serve. There were highly and very qualified individuals that applied, that we felt would bring some breadth, some depth, and some renewed vigor, excitement, and vision to the board. We do have a slate of applicants that we will present in later discussion for recommendation for the board to consider moving forward to the board. There is some discussion that came about that based on the quality of and the quantity of individuals that applied, we had some in-depth and personal discussions regarding what is in the best interest of the board, what best serves the board, what best serves Moose Charter School, what best serves our continued capital growth, our facilities growth. I think Mr. Neville can expand upon that better than I could give it its worth. So Dave, if you would, I'll turn it over to you to conclude the nominations committee report.
Thanks, Tony. As Tony mentioned, we had a very, very solid list of folks that were interested in being on the board, to the point that I felt like it was my time to step aside as a board member. So I prepared a letter, an official letter that I'd like to read. With your permission, Mr. President.
Permission granted and certainly earned.
Okay. Dear board, as a founding board member, I've been involved with this charter school for the last 11 years. And I've had the pleasure of being part of the positive strides NCS has made every year since our inception. We have faced numerous challenges at every turn, and with every challenge, this charter school has emerged stronger and more successful than before. As I look back over the last 11 years, I'm so proud to be associated with all of the stakeholders that have made a difference to the children that NCS serves. As I look forward, we are poised to end this year in a financially strong position, which will allow us to continue to make key adjustments designed to move News Charter School forward in an academically positive direction. In fact, I cannot remember a year when NCS was in as good a position as we are today. I have the utmost confidence in the current administration, current board, and the potential new board members slated for approval for next year. With that said, I hereby tender my resignation to the board effective 6/30/2017. I will still plan to be involved with NCS through my affiliation with NCS Facilities Corporation, and I plan to continue to be part of the facilities and finance committees of News Charter School. I am sure I will miss being part of the decisions that shape NCS, but I am reminded of something Dr. Seuss once said, and I quote, "Do not cry because it's over, smile because it happened." Unquote. I look forward to working with NCSF on the physical build-out of NCS, and I challenge each of you and the new board members to continue to set policies and make decisions that will enable this charter school to grow and thrive in the future. Respectfully submitted, David Savino. Thank you.
Make a motion that we not accept his letter of recognition.
Second. Wait, we got 3 seconds.
Hey, I just at lunch I had lunch with my wife. I'll share this quick story. The first day the school was slated to open, the very first day, I was chairman of the board, and you know what, the night before it opened, we were at Food Line buying toilet paper because the school didn't have any toilet paper, and that was, a critical thing to have. So it was mission critical to have toilet paper on the first day. So.
I know we all got Neville stories. And none of us can tell them in this open meeting. But I will say, thank you, Dave, on behalf of all the stakeholders, fellow board members, children. Through your efforts, you've made a difference to the education offerings of Johnston County and the community. And I know that it was more than 11 years of service. So thank you. With that, Our bylaws allow us, in an effort to best serve the board and the school, to consider ex-officio members, which Caitlin is an example of that. I would like to open for discussion. I know this is going to catch everyone off guard, but I would like to open for discussion and consideration that as Dave Noble will stay on with the new Charter School Facilities Board, consideration to appoint him or the president of the Facilities Board as an ex-officio member of the board. Is there any discussion or consideration on that?
I'd like to make that a motion for the purpose of discussion, so I'll make that as a motion.
A motion for discussion to allow an ex-officio member from the new Charter School Facilities Corp. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, Hey, let me kind of clean it up a little
Sure,
bit.
yeah.
Okay. If you remember correctly, when Lee went off the board actually voted already to make that an ex officio position for the News Charter School Facilities Corporation president. Suhowever, we haven't seen Lee at a meeting ever since that time.
Since we've done building.
So what I would suggest is maybe we expand it to include the president or an officer of the Facilities Corporation.
I'll make that as, well, we don't have, I'll entertain it as a friendly amendment, but I haven't received a second yet for the purpose of discussion.
Second.
We have the motion to expand.
Let me come to it, well, since it's time of discussion, let me come to Mr. Jackson's defense. He spent an hour with Self-Help Credit Union this afternoon to talk about our money. So the point is that even though he may not be here in body, he is with us in spirit as well as during the rest of the day. So,
Yeah, and I echo that because as president of the NCSF, Lee does a phenomenal job speaking with self-help and other government entities. He's a CPA, therefore he kind of speaks their lingo when it comes to the numbers and making everything work. So, Chris, thank you for saying that. I did not mean to throw Lee under the bus. Lee, if you're watching this, that was not the intent.
He's not going to be watching.
So it's a motion to expand the board, is it already written into the bylaws, is it to expand the bylaws, is it already written into the
I guess
bylaws?
my motion is to adjust the bylaws as written. Not adjust it, I thought that we would change it to either, we already have it as the president, correct, but to amend it to have it as a president and or officer from the facility. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Specifics of what the ex officio directors will be are not denoted in the bylaws. So we are able to have such ex officio directors as we deem fit. So yes, we previously voted to have somebody from that board as an ex officio director here, yeah, but it's not required by anything in the bylaws. Now, I might ask if the Facilities Corporation bylaws require an officer to be on our...
No, we would have to require on our board.
Okay. So I mean, as far as, there is a precedent having been set of having an officer from the Facilities
Let's say
Corporation.
president, what do you think?
There's no definition of, the only defined ex officio director in our bylaws is the executive director.
Okay, then we need to withdraw that motion then.
No, you can certainly make a motion that Dave become...
Well, we don't need Dave, we just need to leave somebody from that board. Yeah.
President or an officer of the board.
Where do you have that?
I think you just said the president.
Jimmy? It's not so.
No, it's not the bylaws, but we voted on it. It's in the minutes.
He was also the treasurer, so it was kind of a nice thing to have.
So is this,
The president, and he was the treasurer for us.
Treasurer for us.
Right,
The president of that.
So we went on, when he went off, if I remember correctly, we voted as the president, because he was the treasurer, former treasurer, to be the ex officio of the board.
To have somebody from the Facilities Corporation. I mean, if that's noted in the minutes, it's noted in the minutes of the policy, but it's not in the bylaws.
No, it's not the bylaws.
So is this the current bylaw that? So, under Article 3, Section 3, ex-officio directors, and I'm just going to read this out loud for everybody's purpose and for purpose of video. The school administrator / chief executive officer of the corporation shall during his or her respective term serve as an ex-officio member of the board of directors. In addition, there shall be such other ex-officio directors as elected by a vote of the directors then holding office. Each ex-officio director, including the school administrator, shall be entitled to enter into all deliberations and to receive notice of all meetings, but he or she shall not vote nor be counted in determining the existence of a quorum.
So technically, we could simply vote Dave in as an ex-officio member, but the discussion we're having is more of a blanket statement, is to allow that we would always have an ex-officio member from the new charter school facilities corporation, which to me, that makes.
But I don't want it to be a separate issue. I don't want me to be specifically named as an ex officio because I want to have a relation to the school, which I do, and then I'm the treasurer of the new charter school facilities corporation.
If we're going to require a facilities corporation person to be an ex officio, we have to change the bylaws.
No, we already have the president as the ex officio. We do.
Well, we just voted him as an ex officio director, not because he was the president. But it was at our discretion by the directors that hold it on.
Well, sure.
It was because he was the president.
I didn't say it was. I mean, I'm just saying that's
So
probably
that's
what we need
to
to.
make you an ex officio director, not because you're on the facilities board if we want to. But
That's right.
At the issue of whether or not we should have the president of the facilities commission as an ex officio director is a separate issue.
I think the board would be well served to have a representative of the new charter school facilities corporation as an ex officio. Now, Chris is on there right now, but he may get off the board as well. So I think the board in the future, you'd want to have somebody that's part of the facilities, since basically the corporation owns the land. The facilities corporation owns the land. So I'm saying that the board, we don't have to make it part of our bylaws because it's an ex officio position. It does not need to be in the bylaws. We don't have to change the bylaws. We just have to vote as the current board to expand that definition of that ex officio position and include the president or a designated officer of the facilities corporation. And that's what I would do.
I disagree because the ex officio definition of their ex officio director specifically names the executive director of the corporation as being ex officio, but there's nobody else specifically named. If you want to put in the president of the facilities corporation that specifically names, it has to go there, it has to go in the bylaws.
I think so,
No.
or any other ex officio.
Otherwise, Kayla wouldn't be an ex officio of the board.
Yeah, or any other
Right,
ex officio.
but we don't have, it's not, we're not requiring ourselves to have the student government president on as
You're not requiring, but you're not requiring that person either. The board can then say, you know what, we don't need facilities in the future on this board, we're kicking them off. You can make that decision. My point is the board decides it as an ex officio. It's not a bylaw. You know what I'm saying? It's not, we can have 10 ex officios if we wanted to.
Right. But
So in other words, I can make.
I don't want to be,
on that or not.
I know what I'm saying is I don't want to be named as an ex officio because I'm doing nothing. I want to be named because I have a purpose to the school. Not just.
Mr. Chairman, I would, no, please, may I have one?
Chair recognizes Ms. Bennett.
Thank you. So
All
in
your
other words, I think the point is, we could say today, I could make a motion today that we move to have Dave as an ex officio member, as a member of the facilities board. But then next year, we could choose not to do that, and then we wouldn't have that. I think what Dave is saying is that we go ahead and amend the bylaws, and it would be.
I'm not saying we need bylaws.
Hang on a second. I think what he's saying is that each year, if we wanted Scott Johnson, who's
Right.
on facilities, that we could say, this year, we want to knock off Dave as an ex officio, or Scott, remove him from an ex officio.
Let's say I can't make a meeting, and let's say the facilities, a person from, I can't make a meeting and I'm a representative of the facilities. That would allow the facilities to appoint another officer. Hey, Dave can't do it this meeting. Let's let Chris do it, or let's let Scott do it, or let's let Lee do it. You know, that's what I'm saying. It could be any, and I would say use it at the officer level because they typically know more what's going on than a general board member knows. That's all I'm saying is we ought to.
Are you suggesting that we require ourselves to have someone from the facilities corporation?
That's what I thought.
Whether it's the president or anyone. But are you suggesting that we require ourselves to do that?
No, because if it's not in the bylaws, it's not required to be. No, what you could say is, if, let's say that you don't want the facilities on the board anymore, you can say, you know what, we want to change that, we don't want the facilities of the ex-officio. You can do that with a vote,
We can just do that, yes, that's what I'm saying. So
I think you're both saying the same
we want to
thing.
enumerate someone from the facilities corporation being an ex-officio or not, because we can decide that year to year.
They already are, and right now, yes, they are. They're in the minutes.
We've done it, but it's not required.
I didn't say it was required. This is two different discussions.
Right.
If Lee wanted to come here right now as an ex-officio, he could do it right now because it's been voted on by the board and we've not changed it. He could do it right, he could sit right there as ex-officio today, tonight.
No.
And he can't vote. He can't vote.
He was voted as an ex-officio member, not
As the president. As the president of News Charter School
Would
Facility.
it be for year to year, or would it be
And you wanted to get off.
2-year terms? Are they 2-year terms, or are they?
It doesn't say.
Bylaws, ex-officio, they recognize them as
Year to
serve-
year?
will serve on the board representing an ex-officio capacity.
Well, I have a motion, my motion is this. I move that we,
Wait a minute, you have a motion and a second.
I withdrew mine.
We're on the discussion part.
Well, I think that
Did you withdraw?
I withdrew mine just to hear what Michelle said.
Michelle, bail us out.
okay, so my motion is that we nominate and Dave Neville as an ex-officio member of the board of directors, as an NCS, as an officer of the NCS Facilities Incorporated, effective July 1 of 2017.
And I'll second that with a friendly amendment if we need to remove Lee Jackson from whatever original, if that's necessary. We don't have to? Okay, well then I'll second that.
Unless we require
Okay.
ourselves to have that.
Then I second Michelle's motion.
We have a motion and a second that clarifies the discussion.
You got that,
Before the night's over with, Caitlin, before the night's over with, you're going to be voting.
I would like to see what he renewed his term as an ex-officio director after he left the board. The terms of directors are applied to ex-officio directors and voting member directors.
We have a motion and a second to expand.
That's what I'm saying.
We have a motion and a second to expand. Call the question. I'm still trying to get the motion and a second out. A motion and a second to, I have forgot what it was.
My motion was that we nominate.
We nominate Dave Neville
Dave Neville
to represent the News Charter School
Facilities Incorporated as an ex-officio member of the News Charter School Board of Directors, effective July 1, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to vote in favor of Mr. Neville regardless of his position on the Facilities Commission.
Dave, you're going to be serving something, but you can't vote.
I think the fact that he's on the Facilities Corporation Board is a great selling point for Mr. Neville, and therefore I'm buying.
Agreed. We have a motion and a second, and we've had discussion that the board would appoint Dave Neville, outgoing Board of Directors member, in an ex-officio capacity to the Board of Directors representing News Charter School Facilities Corporation. Effective July 1, 2017. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Neville.
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the chair.
It pleases.
Since we're still under board development and the bylaws committee would fall under that, I would like to move or propose that the bylaws committee look at the section 3 ex officio directors paragraph and define, in addition to the chief executive officer of the corporation as being an ex officio member, that we add specifically someone, an officer from the facilities corporation as an ex officio director. Can we look into that?
I think it would be well serving to the board to look into that. So we will charge the bylaws committee. I think that's what Dave started with.
I know, I totally agree, but but what I'm saying is I want to make it happen whether any of us are here or not.
Mr. Lloyd makes a good point. We will charge the bylaw committee with amending, making that
I can't
correction.
wait to read this in a minute. So maybe you can all that.
Is the camera still running? All right.
No side arguments, please, over there. We can debate this.
Personnel has, we have had a discussion where two people agreed and try to convince the other one to change their mind. How do we make money, Ron? No, Dave, thank you for your service. You've done a lot. We look forward to continue to work with you in a different role and capacity. For personnel, we talked about the contract renewal for closed session. I don't know where I'm at.
Can't wait to do chairman.
It might be in the next 30 minutes when lights going. Can you impeach a chair? Mid-meeting? Summer retreat. Bail me out, Susan. Summer retreat, who's got that? Bail me out.
I have passed out a proposal for some agenda items or the structure for the retreat/annual meeting. And I would like us to move towards having some specific annual goals. And it says 3, but I actually added one before I printed this. So 4 planning areas. And just some of the things we're discussing tonight we could add, like under board development bylaws, where we have some very specific goal statements that we will target for the year that will assist in focusing us on what we want to do over the course of the year. And then at the next retreat, we'll do an assessment, like a readout for ourselves in terms of what we were able to accomplish and what we were not able to accomplish and why. And I think that will perhaps assist us in being a little bit more laser focused, given that there are a lot of things that I think we need to continue to look at, new things like academic redesign, but also old discussions that we have never quite gotten to the finish line, like the graduate competencies, which you've had many conversations about that. So I've just noted a couple of new things like the budget reserve policy. It may be a goal statement to have that implemented or developed, and then relooking at our bylaws, because I think it's been a couple of years, right, Jimmy, since we've done a full assessment of our bylaws. So this is just one agenda item, but we all know that we have a retreat, and while it seems like it's quite enough time because it's all day, it never seems to be quite enough time. So we may just really want to focus our agenda item on just one particular task. That's my suggestion. Always. Yeah. I think Susan was looking for agenda items. Anyone else had other agenda items? I was just responding to next steps and planning the agenda. We have it tentatively set or pretty much set for July 14th and 15th. We were going to go back to
the airport conference center, their lovely facility, and so the next item was the agenda and our task report. A 2-day retreat, because we are looking to do some board training for our new slate, and perhaps even, some additional training for existing board members, and then the full retreat on Saturday. So just something a little different to ensure that we achieve some of our goals.
For communication purposes, if we attach the annual meeting to the Friday portion of it, so that we can go ahead and get that notification out to the public, so that adjustment that we need. Then we have to make a motion to adjust it, it's supposed to be 4.
So it could be like a Friday at 3, and then,
We would just need a date and time so we can post it. So we can discuss how you'd like to go about that. Because right now, the July meeting is scheduled for the 4th Tuesday of the month, and we just need to vote to adjust that schedule.
yeah,
But you have to vote to do that.
Yeah,
Before we call it to order,
Yeah.
close it.
and it could be something where we do it the Friday 3 annual meeting, a board meeting, kind of meet the new officers or reception, and then go into our retreat on Saturday.
What's the time,
Just for,
meeting,
will we do we don't really necessarily have to do the Friday thing.
not like correct this time of life.
At the, we can do the Friday portion here,
Okay.
and then do the Saturday retreat.
I've got a
Starting
great,
at,
no, I'm just saying I have the, I got a vote. I have
Well,
both
what
days,
days?
I have both days reserved as part of the conference.
what are your thoughts on having a meeting and the training at the conference room on Friday, or should we be here on Friday and one there all day Saturday?
Well, you're gonna have a board meeting on Friday, where you folks can come in and meet the new board members. I think it'll be better to have it here. I think we'll have less confusion. Usually they want to come meet. Of course, I don't know how many people in July are going to want to come meet the board
Right.
members, but no offense to new board members.
No. So Friday here, 3 to 4, and then the training portion 4 to 6.
We're going out, or we?
I think here, and we can have dinner here on the board, or is that too early? That's what it says.
Or we can have dinner, but so I have our meeting upstairs.
We could do that. Just do generally 3 to 4.
3 to 9, that's what.
What you said for the retreat is okay with for publication. We really see that it will hold the meeting from 3 to 4 on Friday. I believe y'all need to vote to change the meeting dates in open session right now.
I make a motion that was the date, 15th, 14th, that we change the July meeting to July 14th, Friday from 3 to 4.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Haven't heard none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Passes. The meeting will be, the July meeting will be Friday, July 14th. 13th.
14, I'm sorry, 14.
14th from 3 till 4. And reception afterwards.
No,
Reception prior.
Training.
Reception immediately to follow. We'll have maybe a reception meeting as early as 2:30, but that will be the schedule.
Well, I did say that, but at the meeting, come meet your new board members.
at 3.
Yeah, I mean, we can move to that or something. That's the rate, right?
And lemonade, it'll be a lot.
On Saturday.
Saturday, what time would you like? 9?
4.
We get triangle insurance to cater for that.
Over the corporation.
Incorporate, that is right. That's right.
Progressive triangle insurance.
And your first duty as ex-officio member.
There's no conflict of interest there.
She said she don't go off to a home school. She doesn't go off to the next election. Well, you say, you don't go off to the next election, right?
You're really big.
I'll come back.
Okay. Resource Development, 10th anniversary reverse raffle. Update. I've seen a lot of email. Kudos, great job.
I don't have a good report, but I was going to say, as a participant, I was just absolutely blown away with it. The number of people that were there, the social, I mean, it was just, I've never been so proud. And I like the way the setup was. Kudos to Brad. But anyway, I don't want to take away from Rodney, but I just want to say, as a parent and as a participant, Morgan Roberts is absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we'll do is a part of the strategic retreat items from our operating procedure. We'll talk about kind of looking at next year, how we got some recommendations to operate a little bit differently around our fundraising and stuff around. We did meet as a post-mortem of the team that did the fundraiser and got some good recommendations for next year as far as like maybe like October is a giving month culminating with the fall festival event, like kind of booster back, bring it all together and kind of make a series of activities for next year. But look, in 90 days, we grossed about $55,000. We actually netted somewhere around $40,000 to $41,000. We were originally projecting at about somewhere between 50 to 60% was going to be net dollars in NCS bank account. Having the silent auction and some of those 50-50 splits and stuff put us at about somewhere around 65% of our proceeds went back into the NCS bank account, which is really good. In fact, we think we've made a few adjustments to that even better. So we didn't hear any complaints from the event, which is pretty amazing when you bring 450 people into a building that's supposed to have 350 people occupancy. So it's just a great teamwork. Kudos to the Booster Club. Richard did a great job partnering with us. Same thing for PTO. Really, everybody just put down their silent barriers and worked together as a team. What we'll look to form for next year is a bit of a formal committee around the fundraising effort to start to plan early now for next year. And then hopefully in the future, I think once we have a year or two in our belt, we should maybe formalize that in our foundation entity for resource development. But all in all, just great teamwork, great collaboration. So we already had people that were asking to buy tickets for next year already. And I know that there were people I know personally that showed up at that event, not for a raffle ticket, but on a scouting mission and evaluate who we are. So it was a huge community outreach. We don't know how many people were on the wait list because they went to the event, but we know it was definitely a strategic community awareness campaign. So way all around.
And I'd just like to echo that, say a few things too. Brilliant idea to have a collective effort. It's nice to see the Booster PTO and really the school working together, and you got everybody involved. All the teachers, the students were excited, and I really liked the commentary that Susan had at the event. And I did hear it, but I thought it was good to let people know what the Boost Charter is about. To Rodney's point, as those that are there that don't even have kids at Boost Charter, even the ones that do, they don't know the information that was being said there that night. So I commend Susan for getting that together. That was very nice.
It was kind of there was one moment when I stood up to walk back, get maybe 10 times to go back to chocolate mountain. And to look around, it was kind of a surreal moment to see the number of people that were there. And a lot of them I didn't recognize. And that was a great thing.
And I would like to actually make a request that we send an official thank you letter to the Ag Center. They were extremely accommodating for us to come in early, so they're already coming back for next year about just the bonus lot. So they really went above and beyond that.
Well, let me just also echo that because of our staff and our volunteers of covering the bases and making sure every T was crossed and every I was dotted, is that actually the facility was double booked. And another entity thought they had
tried to use some muscle, but they had failed to do the due diligence of just making making sure that they had done things right, and we had. And so therefore, we got the facility. So it was with great pleasure to let that happen.
Anything else on Ralph or
Just one last point, and again, don't take this as a negative. I think it's really a positive. When you look at, we kind of did a little bit of a data analysis around the participation of our families and students. You can't be 100% accurate, but we were able to do that with somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% participation from our students and families. And so if you just think forward to next year, we should be able to do 3 times that. If we get so I think as we look at how we do it strategically for, say, a giving month, we got to cater a number of activities where more people can get engaged. It's a multi-dimensional, it's about community engagement, everybody rowing together, and maybe not everybody will do the first round with their thing, but we'll expand that. But again, we were able to do that with 26% participation roughly.
Thank you, Rodney. Early planning, you talked about that too, 17, 18,
Yeah.
You covered that. Facilities?
I received a text from
Lee just a second ago. He's working with, no, he's not with me. But he did respond to my text. He did meet with self-help this afternoon. It looks very positive of the funds that we'll receive from the sale of the land, that we can be able to use that for facilities. So it's just making sure that we spend it wisely and what we want to do with that money. And does it, because there's a lot of things that we can do. Just need to review that from a facility standpoint. So, and I have been working with Susan on just little odd end stuff like the door, latch, and have met with Jimmy to discuss that and have got some ideas. For those that don't know, the door it locks, but if the air is on, it creates a vacuum and it never really closes sometimes. So just a little thing like that. So got some ideas. One thing to talk to Jimmy about, Chris, I did call him this week. That's why we did it. On the back of the kindergarten wing, they drained those gutters out from the whole side of the gym as well as the kindergarten extension. And they dumped the drain right on cement pads, and it is a disaster in that playground back there. If it rains, you can't go in. We should have piped that water back into a side drainage ditch, but so let's just put that on the item. And we're going to need to fix that because there's kindergartens coming in and out there every day in that playground. It's just a mess in the classrooms. Well, that just goes. I mean, there's little things, just the wear and tear of our building. And so, I guess, if the suggestion box, just little things like that the teachers see to make us aware of it, just to kind of start chipping away at it. And Susan talks about the underpinning, and that's a nice one for her. I've heard that time and time another. So, but there's go ahead.
Who at the school is responsible for that? I mean, in the absence, because, Sarah said, continue to get to the point where we're doing these little things as a board, which in my mind is not the little things we need to focus on. So at the school, is there someone who has, beyond Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
He's not, I don't think, at that level, but.
Mr. Dixon's responsibility is to help us walk the campus into any orders that are coming in. In addition, we work with our teachers annually. We probably need to do it more frequently to collect a needs assessment. Please open up your eyes and look around and tell us what is, at least around the space that you live, and what improvements could be made so that we can think of some punch lists. But we can also start to work on making that more of an ongoing process. That as the work orders come in, he assesses what he can handle and then comes to me for what he can, and we determine what needs to be vended out, what's within budget, what's not within budget, what requires a facilities improvement. Right now, it's two of us working together to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, up to this point, we haven't had the luxury of having a budget for repaired in general. We kind of repair as we go, and we have we've had in the past had to monitor exactly what that was, and like to Susan's point, prioritize. So we're a little in the weeds on that. from a finance part and a facilities part.
You're exactly right.
Well, you're right.
2 years ago, they didn't have a building, everything was rented, months that you know, so.
You're right.
Well, I'm just saying, as we go forward, as we do our annual planning and having to make big decisions, that what would be helpful at that meeting is that we don't come trying to brainstorm there, as opposed to having some very concrete recommendations going in that we can just pick out of these 30, options.
Any old business? Heard none, new business?
A couple of items. One, I did, in my announcements, forget to recognize a couple of things. We have 5 of our high school students that have artwork that's on display and an exhibit in the Frank Heritage Art Gallery over at Johnson Community College. It'll be on display through May 14th. So if you have an opportunity to go by and check it out.
Purchase.
I don't know if it's for sale. I believe it's just a traditional display, but it's in there along with other students from the area, and it was an honor for their pieces to be selected. Mr. Smith, our teacher, is to be commended for pushing and challenging the students to really participate in the program and to get pieces of art submitted. And he's already come back with ideas on how he can coach and encourage the students to put forward their best artwork. In addition, our annual elementary art showcase is coming up, and that'll be May 16th in the evening. And this is an example, it's a little bit of a shift. Every student in the elementary school will have at least one piece of art framed like this and on display in the gallery here in the commons area for the parents to come by and see if they'd like to purchase the child's framed art. In addition, the miniature collection will be on display as well for available for purchase. All funds raised from the event will go to the arts program.
All students are doing this?
All elementary students
All elementary.
will have their art displayed during the showcase, and so every parent can come through and see their children's art already pre-framed. It's a company that does it for us, and any child that doesn't have artwork that's purchased from the frame, we just send the frames back at no cost to us, and so we only pay for the frames that are purchased, and we get whatever fundraising is on top of that to support their program. So I wanted to give you, this is actually a piece from Walker Dennis, one of our second graders. But all of the pieces will look like this on it. And it's sort of been a no-fuss process for Ms. Wilson. She was able to get them, she sent the artwork to them, they frame it, send it to us, we hang it up and display it, and then whatever is chosen, we just slide it here. All kindergarten, 5th graders will have it. One day it'll be an art gallery in here.
Oh, they're all going to be?
It'll be a gallery.
Oh, it's not one per day?
No. It'll be that evening, it'll be a gallery event. So if you have some free time, we'll get you some information on that. May 16th, I want to say it starts at 6, but it might be 5:30. You have it down as 5:30? No, I think that's correct. And it'll be an open, It's a company that Ms. Wilson's contracted with to be able to do it. It's a business model. You send the artwork in, they frame it, send it to you. It doesn't matter. If the frame is purchased, then we, similar to a book fair.
We do accept resignation.
So those are my 2 announcements. But I do have a business item to bring before you. I would like to formally request that we allow for in the budget 5:30 to 7:30. I do ask in support of our academic redesign plan. That's our first one that you see on the plan about building the organizational structure. Looking at what we've done this year, we've done a tremendous job serving the campus with a single K-12 administrator and a single K-12 assistant principal. But that model won't support our redesign plan for having the academy structure. And so I do request that in place of those 2 positions, we create a position that's a K-4 academy leader, a position that's a 5-8 academy leader. And again, those right now, I believe the names we're working with are primary, intermediate, and senior, and that the senior academy have a leader. In addition, we would ask for a dean of academics to support the entire program, so the net 2 position increase to the administrative line for the budget for next year. The dean, primary, intermediate, and senior.
What is that?
So to the office, and you know that down just a little bit for me, is that a principal for K-4, a principal for 5A, and a principal?
The level of responsibilities would be similar to a principal, yes, with the focus on being the instructional leader for
I
those.
mean, I'll look out your terminology.
Yes.
But this is
Right,
actually
yes.
fine.
And then the dean of academics would be a position we don't currently hold, which would be an instructional leader who would report directly to me and be in charge of maintaining, monitoring, managing the implementation of the redesign program, and be the point person on campus to keep that sustained effort moving forward.
What is the breakdown of the
In terms of,
they're different from what your traditional, and I understand it's not traditional, and that's not a bad thing, but just to understand the difference, it's typically K-5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and that's.
when you look at, yeah, sure. As we talked about during the academic performance report, with the accelerated model that we'd like to introduce, it's actually quite common to pull the sort of cohort up and into the middle school so they have access to the more rigorous electives, the more rigorous curriculum, and to be a part of the continuity that's going to happen in those grade levels, and to sort of preset them and pre-stage them so that by the time they hit 9th grade, everybody's ready to rock and roll and there's no missing links. In addition, it creates a span of control support for us as well, because you now have 5 grades, 1 leader, 4 grades to a leader, and 4 grades to a leader, as well as the complexities that come with those advanced levels of curriculum. And you start to enter into the athletics field as you get to those, and they take on those responsibilities as well.
Given our financial position and the fact that it's only going to add net 2 positions, I think the school can afford the redesign, so therefore I make a motion that we accept the redesigns proposed by Executive Director.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Further discussion?
I just wanted to confirm that Mr. Neville was stating that, I guess, based on being vetted by the Finance Committee. I understand that, but I'm not sure he said the Finance Committee vetted this and we're all good. I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you.
When I say that Rodney and I, as the academic committee, discussed this in Lynn with Ms. Pulliam, and felt very strongly that in order to make this significant move, which I think is absolutely necessary, while it appears that all good is on the horizon, things are shifting in the educational environment in Johnson County, which could bring in more competition and different options for students. And so it is important for us to be proactive and forward thinking on how we can best position our school. What's most critical about that is creating an infrastructure. So this is a facilities thing where you always have to put a strong foundation and framework before you fill in with everything else. The actual academics is everything else, but the organizational structure is what's going to support what happens. And so there was a lot of conversation about the importance of ensuring that the school had the capacity to support the new and awesome things that are on the horizon, and not just try to do a lot of things and overwork existing personnel, which would ultimately result in it not being able to be successful, or in all likelihood to be able to be sustained. So this recommendation has the full support of the academic subcommittee, and we feel that it's a necessary first step in ensuring that we can move the school to successfully move the school into the future.
You're saying 2 net positions, but I don't know what level of position they are. Is it principal, is it above principal? When you're dean, I'm thinking a high level position. Give me a little more details.
So
I can get one way or the other.
Absolutely. Each of the academy leaders would be the equivalent of sort of a principal position.
Okay, so you'll have 3 principals.
And then the dean would either we need to negotiate the salary compensation package that we could offer based on budget tolerances, but it would
But
be
you're going
in
to
that
call it
same
a
range.
dean of,
Academic services. To clarify that the role would be specifically to focus on instructional
and
strategy.
based on that,
and
you
assessment
can kind of
strategy.
expect what the salary will be as a minimum. Are we good with that?
One thing I say I like about the proposal is, if you think about kind of how you charter a new organizational design, there's one thing for someone to own strategy, and then you still got to have an execution. So if you think about this concept of an academy lead to drive that daily operations, and part of the strategy and setting around the academics, so that's a full-time job in itself. So I like the model from an affordability perspective as administrators, and what we look at with the budget and stuff. We'll have some flexibility in looking at the span of control of each one of the positions, and well as the dean for the size of the school. Feel comfortable from both sides.
Call the question.
Who's the president? I don't understand the report. All three are going to report to the dean, and the dean is the only one that reports to you.
No, all four will report directly.
Does the dean have any direct reports? They'll have
As we
none?
finalize the organizational structure, and may or may not, we may determine that the guidance counselor should report to the dean of academic services to make sure that our guidance protocols and our college preparedness protocols are aligned there, but that'll be part of that planning phase that we continue to address.
Another question.
Each of the academy, you said the principals or
We would ultimately call them an academy
the
leader.
leaders, each of the leaders of the academy would be responsible for administration, primarily of that.
They would have the direct supervision responsibilities for each of the teachers assigned to them, any teacher assistants that are assigned to them.
Academics would be development of the overall academics once each of them.
Yes, and then provide the supports with, to each of them as they work with each of their teacher groups, and perhaps be our professional development coordinator, as well as leading all of our monitoring efforts and developing our data sets, so that as we assess the progress of each of our steps in the process, the dean would be responsible for working with the teams to collect the data, prepare those reports, and make sure we're staying on task.
We should ensure the continuity from the top-down approach that we've been looking for forever. Right.
Is that a dean of academics for all of K through 12? And I don't believe that's why I'm asking. Is that something that you would customarily find out in the marketplace for K-12, or are they typically going to be more specific for elementary academic or high school academic, or are you going to be able to find someone who has that broad range of K-12?
You'll see both models, and with the model that looks at sort of the grade level specific, generally referred to as more like an instructional coach. And so they'd be having very specific strategies for a particular grade level or grade group. When you're looking at a dean of academics, you're looking at something along the lines of a chief academic officer for a large organization like a school district, or even perhaps an instructional leader that's gone through the paces of a particular program and really understands the ins and outs of it from top to bottom. And so that talent set is out there, and we need to start actively recruiting to secure it for our clients.
A lot of school districts would have like a director of curriculum and instruction.
Exactly.
That would be comparable.
I think we need 3 principals.
Yes. To drive the innovation forward, yes. And maintain the day-to-day operations and provide the one-on-one support to each of the teachers.
What's the measurable on this? How do we tell if it's returning? Give us a return on this.
So as we develop our academic reporting structure and look at our assessment strategies, every quarter as we see those performance marks go up and our students' performance outcomes increasing, and getting closer to their target goals, and we're successful. It's all going to be about student learning outcomes. If we're not meeting those certain learning outcomes, we mess up on that, and we'll come to you in the accountability structure and figure out what our next steps are.
Thank you for the answer. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for that trust, and we will do our best to honor that trust. The next thing that we have for you as the second new business item is a look at the salary schedule. So I want to go ahead and get these passed out. As a good teacher, I didn't give them to you ahead of time because I knew you just
While we're passing these around, I just want to say kudos to our arts department and also our theater department. It was absolutely, the Wizard of Oz was fabulous. So we didn't talk about that. That was the last year.
We talk about it so much because it's going to happen right after the last meeting.
Yeah,
right?
so it was, if y'all didn't go, it was incredible. Jimmy's a kid, Roger's a kid, everybody's a kid. Just incredible talent.
Definitely say a lot of thanks to Shannon Mann for
really
Publicity.
in the community and putting up signs everywhere. And they went to the Rotary event, and I'll tell you, it was like about 50 business leaders that they played the Rotary event, and they went and, you know, did a great job. It was amazing to see the questions from that Rotary group about the school. One of the interesting things was a quote that one of the people made was like, "It is great to see a high schooler working with a lower grade kid in an event." And that kind of really just made me reflect a bit about the benefit of getting paid.
What you have before you is staff's proposed salary scale for the 2017-18 school year. The way it's presented for you is that the items in white are the current 2016-17 salary schedules for each of our 4 levels for the teaching staff and certified staff. Then you see in sort of this orangish color, it was orange on my computer screen. In the orangish stripes, you'll see the proposed change. It's a minor adjustment in the forward direction, but it does allow for us to show some market rate adjustments without being too egregious. In addition, the system that was set up previously that looks at sort of clusters, you know, you can add up the salary rates from year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That amount will either equal or best a base state CPI type salary schedule. So while we don't wait to give a jump at a certain point in time, we give a incremental jump each year, or a incremental jump each year. And I can talk to you about the net impact. If we were to freeze salaries and move our staff forward just on their steps, the total projected budget need would be $2.745 million to cover the cost of just the teacher salaries. We're just talking the teachers that are on the salary scale. This proposed budget would cost $2.752, a difference of $6,419. So it costs us just a little bit more than it would have already would have cost us. To give you an idea of the difference between this year's salary and next year's salary, if we made them, just to look at what this year's salary is costing us for the same group of teachers, it's coming in at $2.708 million. So the difference between this year's salary and next year's salary with no changes would already be $37,000. This would just adjust it up by an additional $6,400 to get us to about $44,000 overall. And you'd have the 37 regardless of what you do.
Susan, I see years 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 30 or higher. I assume that's, well, actually the 29. I assume that's for retirement purposes.
It is. Retirement for the state is calculated on your highest 4 years of salary. If you continue slowly adjusting it during those last 4 years, you lower that final average. If you go ahead and bump it up at that first point around 25 or 26, if you're stick with us for that long, then it would allow their average to marginally higher because the average across the 4 years is.
How many teachers do we have in that category today?
2. One that's in the base pay category and one that has, I think it's a master's.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the new scale as proposed.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Okay.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Finance committee vetted it all out.
You knew where we were going. Having heard no further discussion and a validation from Finance Committee, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to hear for the record, for any of our staff or anyone who looks at these scales and tries to match them to the DPI scales, line by line, it's going to be off here and there. We don't match it perfectly. But when you look at those cluster groups and 5-year increments or 6-year increments, we're doing what we'd like to do is we invest in our teachers by giving them those workloads. And over time, we need their equal best DPI rates. And then I believe the Finance Committee wanted to talk about the for current year bonus.
Yeah, last time, the new businesses, we had previously said that we would look at mid-year, the bonus structure, whether or not we would pay one at mid-year. We made a decision to pause that and move it to the end of the year based on financial standing. We're they are now recommitted at the April board meeting, we would actually make a decision one way or the other. After careful review with the finance committee, the financial status, the hard work of staff, we'd like to make a recommendation that we do across the board one-time bonus for this school year in the amount of $400 for staff. That's 80 staff members, which would equate to $32,000 expenditure, which again would come off the top of that $546,000 surplus we're projecting. Is 80, that does not include the executive director. So it would be 80 full staff people. For one-time bonus would be paid out. If we approve it tonight, we've actually been paid out in the May payroll. So that's the recommendation for the finance committee.
Motion to accept the recommendation is proposed.
Second.
Motion and a second, so the recommendation for bonus. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
All this work being done in committee, it comes in and it's all good, and I can go motion to accept, and we're done with that. This is light years past where we were 3 years ago.
Staff has no further new business items.
I will entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel and administrative. Motion, second? Second. We will be into closed session. Doubt it's very brief, but we will return once closed session is over. Thank you. Thank you all for attending.